And you say third coast. Yeah. It's such a delight to be here tonight, utilizing the gift of song that I've been blessed with to bring to y'all so much joy. And you know, like I know, don't nothing bring more joy than a clean-cut New Orleans boy, huh? They say I wouldn't do it again.
Our guest today on Houston Hometown Heroes is an educator, teacher, and talented choral instructor that has positively impacted the lives of many young adults in music and in maturity. We have our mentor and friend, Miss Meltonia Thomas, on the show. Miss Thomas, welcome to Country Reality TV, Hometown Heroes.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. How are you doing?
Oh man, it's a pleasure and an honor. We finally got you on here.
It took a little effort, right?
I know. I had to track you down. I sent out the troops and then we found you.
I'm so happy to have been found. Yes.
I got my co-host, my brother. What's up, Cool Cutter? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm definitely amongst royalty right now. So, you know, so I'm excited and ecstatic to do this interview. So let's go, man. I'm ready.
Okay, so we're gonna dive in. I guess the first question: what are you doing with yourself right now? What's going on? Are you still directing choirs and all that stuff?
Actually, no. I have moved into a different phase of development, so to speak, after about 43 years in education, teaching and directing, mentoring, and other roles of leadership. I retired about 5 years ago. It doesn't even seem like it, but wow. I retired. And I use that word retired carefully. I don't really support the concept of retiring, the concept that means that you stop doing what you're doing and you sit down and twiddle your thumbs and look around and wonder what's going on. I am of the thought that retiring simply means to pause one assignment to start another one. So that's what I'm doing. I have an interest in real estate. I am still doing education, but I am actually doing contract work where I will work with different companies for testing or doing field tests for standardized testing for students. I will administer tests. So it's kind of like a palette of all of the things that I would like to have done while I was in the classroom that I can do right now.
So you're not officially retired. You're doing things that you wish you would have done prior. Do you miss music at all, being in that atmosphere?
Not really, because music is still a part of my life. I still absorb music in different ways. And I'm not directing a choir. I'm not teaching music to anyone. I used to give private lessons and all of that. I am practicing myself. I'm playing the piano for myself now and not to provide an example for my students. And it's just a joy to be able to approach it differently. I really have the time to sit and enjoy and listen to different kinds of music as opposed to just listening to classical or teaching songs to students. It's a different way of experiencing music that I'm having right now. And it's really a joy to do that.
Well, I'm curious because now with the music background, we never knew where it started for you, nor anything about you. We always just knew Miss Thomas, the director, the enforcer, the mentor. So I guess we're curious to know more about your background. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Florida, a little town called Ocala. I grew up there, went to school there. Went to Florida A&M University after graduating from high school in Ocala, Florida. And that's where my roots are.
While you were in college, did you major in music, or how was the musical influence? How did that begin?
Well, you know, when I was in high school, when I was growing up, if you could do something well, people just assumed you're going to go to college and you're going to major in that. So I had that set before me from the very beginning. Even in elementary school, I was given the opportunity to play with the high school band. I played the clarinet, played in the concert band, the marching band. I danced, I sang. So it was like automatic. She's going to go to college and major in music. So, you know, you didn't object. You just said, okay. And that's what I did. So I went to Florida A&M as on scholarship as a piano major. And the degree was in music education because I wanted to be a concert pianist, but I also wanted to be prepared to teach students the value of music in their lives. And so that's where it all began with my, being a participant and navigating around that campus at Florida A&M University and being a part of that whole scene where you have the Marching 100. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but at one time they were the greatest and fastest marching band in the land. That whole environment of excellence in music and excellent teachers and professionalism and appreciation for the good that music can do, all of that I was absorbing in my high school years and in my college years. So the foundation that I got, that I brought to my work actually came from those great teachers that I had and from those concerts that I gave, the choral concerts, the solo piano concerts. All of it comes from that.
What was your first instrument?
My first instrument was the piano.
Piano.
I started piano lessons, probably about 8 years old. And close to that time, I also learned to play the clarinet.
You are an only child or you have siblings?
I'm an only child.
Really?
Yes, I adopted my brothers and sisters as I went along in life. I'll take you. Yes.
Now that one I didn't know.
Yeah.
So you consider yourself spoiled?
No, not in the sense that some people think of only children. I think maybe what I learned most is how to enjoy my own company and the company of others. So no, I'm not spoiled in the traditional sense of being spoiled.
You wish you would have had any siblings?
I didn't really give it a lot of thought, simply because I had a lot of company. I had other friends, I had cousins, and we all mixed and mingled frequently. So I didn't really feel like an only child. I could feel like that when I wanted to. When everybody went home, I had all of my toys to myself. So, that part of it, I saw as an only child and kind of the advantages of being, by yourself. But as a whole, no, I didn't really I'll put it that way. I didn't long for brothers and sisters because I had plenty of company.
Wow. I asked because my son, he's 6. He's about to be 7, but yeah, he's only child.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he's going to have any siblings. Usually he adopts siblings along the way like you do. He'll be at the park and then he'll say, hey, you want to play? And that becomes his sibling for that moment. But I was like, I hope we're not scarring him to the point he ain't going to be able to function around people properly because he don't have any siblings.
Oh, no, that's not going to happen. Only children are really adaptable. They're really adaptable. They'll be able to work well in any situation for the most part.
Were you raised by your mom and dad?
I was raised by my mom, my great aunt, who was the matriarch of our family. She raised her brothers and sisters. She was not able to go to school herself because she was the oldest of, I think, 4 children, and their mother died when they were really young. And so she had to take on the responsibility as a 3rd grader. It just shows you how our people survived, generations before us. As a 3rd grader, she had to be the leader of the family to take care of her brothers and sisters. And so my grandmother, her sister, grew up and married and had children, my mother and her 2 sisters. And my great aunt raised my mother and her sisters. And then I came along and we all just kind of lived in the same house, in the same neighborhood. And so my great aunt was very instrumental, along with my mother, in raising me. I did not have the particular advantage of knowing my father because he passed away before I was old enough to realize that I was missing that part. But I had great aunts, great uncles. I had the male figure in my life that, provided what I needed as a young girl growing up during that time. So I had a lot of people raising me. It was a village of family members and friends.
that's what I'm going to ask you about the father figure. If you felt like you had missed out on that, but you had mentioned you had uncles that had stepped up.
Exactly, because my great aunt was married to Joseph Griffin. Her name was Luberta Griffin, and she was married to Joseph Griffin, who was a wonderful father figure. And so he was there for me, for my mother and her sisters. My grandfather was a father figure for me. So, there were men there that held that spot that a father would normally hold.
When you were growing up, did you have a lot of friends? Were you a popular person, or were you kind of quiet, kept to yourself?
I was quiet in some ways, but I had a lot of friends, and I'm sure it was because of my activities. I was very friendly. I guess if you would ask some of my high school classmates how they remember me, they would probably say she was very studious, very friendly, very active in our class, class leader, but my personality was a quiet one. I would talk when I had something to say. I would talk when I had a strong point to make. Of course, I had friends, and so we just, kind of had casual conversations. But I mean, in settings, in the classroom, I would speak up when it was time to answer a question. Otherwise, I'm quiet. It's pretty much like that, the same way I am now, just kind of quiet natured, but very loud and aggressive when I need to get something done. That's pretty much how I was as a child and how I continue to be.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. What about you, Cutter? You got a taste of Miss Thomas becoming forceful.
Of course. Well, my question, knowing that you were inspired by a lot of music and different types of music, what would you say were your musical inspirations growing up?
Growing up, my church was the center of the music. And so I always looked up to the people that sang in the choir and those that played the organ and the piano for the choir. I think I admired that, and I saw that as something, I think I can do that. That was an inspiration. And then, my family members loved music. And so I would hear the music of Nancy Wilson and other artists that were popular at that time, listening to the Nina Simone, listening to their voices and the quality of their voices and the kind of music that they were composing and arranging. And that inspired me even more to want to eventually seek that as a profession and a little bit more than just a hobby, but something that I would give my life to, my life work to. So yes, other musicians, but it started with a center on church music and what I saw as a little girl growing up, going to those church meetings, and we would have those meetings midweek where you joined the church, and so it would be a lot of hand clapping and foot stomping, very rhythmic, and I just kind of got swept up into all of that. I remember when I joined the church, it was one of those Wednesday night, they were called revival meetings when I was growing up.
Revivals, yeah.
And I went there. I think I may have been maybe 7 years old, but got involved in listening to the music and watching the people. And I walked up to the front just like somebody picked me up and carried me forward. And I said, I want to join the church, be baptized, and obey God's commands. Those are the exact words I said. And I remember it very clearly even today. But it all had to do with the way I was being raised to respect God and to honor Him and to, respect the church and the pastor and, be responsible in terms of doing God's work. I was watching other people do that. So all of that was a part of the influence in both developing my character and my decision making to take music as my life's work.
Did you ever, dabble into secular music much, as far as trying to be a professional singer or anything like that?
And no, well, I tell you, I played some of that music, the songs that were popular at that time. During high school, we would gather around the piano and I would play, and my friends would sing. So I never developed an aspiration to be a singer of secular music. I just enjoyed listening to it pretty much. My focus was really on developing the artistry of classical music. For some reason, I just got attached to that, and that's how it started out. But my interest is much broader than that. That's just where I laid my hat, and that's just where I spent hours practicing the classical music.
I'm curious about some of the aspects outside of, I guess, family and music. Did you like date or anything? Were you, into boys, popular, all that? What was going on during the free time?
I was a regular teenager. I
Say yes, that's correct.
I was a regular teenager. I went on dates when I was about 16, I think. I think that's about when boys were allowed to call my house or stop by to say hello. So yes, and at school, this one is my boyfriend now, and that one is my boyfriend, weeks later or something like. So yeah, I have those regular experiences. I do remember when it was time to go to the prom, I had my prom date. I went to the junior and senior prom, and I had a prom date, and we went and had a great time. And being the good girl that I was, I had my prom date bring me back home because I wanted to ask my parents, my aunt, my mom, my uncle, if it was okay for me to go to the after prom party. And I walked in and asked that question, and my family said, "No, you're not going to any after party. You have been to the prom. You just come right on in."
So it's not going
to after party. This your after party right here, here at the house.
This is your after party.
Right in your room, right there in your room. That's your after party, right there.
That is, and so of course I had the typical teenage response to that, pouting and what we do at that age.
Of course. That's funny.
So let's get into your college life. Okay. Going to Florida. You said Florida A&M.
FAMU, Florida A&M.
FAMU. This is a very popular HBCU. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Going into college life, how did you adapt?
I think I adapted very well. I just walked in with the same attitude that I had as a high school student to do excellent work, to get good grades, to be engaged in college life, going to the football games and basketball games. So I just came in with the attitude that I was going to make the best of this experience. That was the expectation. My mother worked at Florida A&M University, excuse me. She was the president of the credit union on that campus. And so she was very influential in helping a lot of other students, get their monies together to be able to go to college and to finish college. That's what she was known for doing, helping other people. So I went to that campus feeling a sense of confidence and pride that I was going to make my mother proud, because she made me proud by being such a great facet to that university. And so that's what I did. I got good grades. I graduated a year early. I didn't have the highest grade point average. I just had, it was probably 3.6 or 7. It wasn't that high, but I graduated at the top of my class.
Which is above average.
Yeah, somewhat.
I liked how you downplayed that real quick. She downplayed, wasn't about to say 3.8, 3.7, give or take, wasn't nothing big.
I just shine shoes.
Well, I saw that as a measure of my commitment to doing what I went there to do. And so I graduated and, during the course of my time there, made a lot of great friends. I was a part of this group that's called the Young Artists. You asked me about being in a group. This group was called the Young Artists of FAMU. And it was a group of about maybe 6 or 7 singers and dancers. And we traveled. One place we went to was Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and we performed for the soldiers there. And so I had an opportunity to get outside of my comfort zone of, that particular campus and go out and see other things, other people experience life in a different way. I was not I was the singer, but I was also a dancer with that group. And I remember my teacher telling me, well, Meltonia, you're not on campus now, so you can go ahead and, you can dance well, so you can go ahead and dance well now here because you're not there. I was like, what is she telling me to do? And so what she meant was for me to just enjoy what I was doing at that moment, for the group as a whole to give those soldiers, an entertaining moment, classy, but entertaining, because we did some pop songs of that era. We did some classical songs as well, but that was one of the ways that I was engaged. I participated in just about everything that there was. I was part of the modern dance team. I pledged to sorority. I was a part of, community organizations. It was just a full experience. I got the full experience of college life, and I don't have any regrets of anything that I missed or didn't do. And I will have to say, just for the benefit of those who may hear, that I was able to do that without compromising on the principles that I learned growing up. I didn't have to go out with friends and drink and get drunk or do all those things. I was having fun laughing while they were out, not quite in their full mind. I was the one that I'm going to see that everybody gets home. I would have been that person. So yes, I enjoyed the full experience of my undergraduate years, and I'm really happy that I had that experience.
What sorority did you pledge?
Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Oh, I didn't know you were AKA.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
It was like she gonna be throwing up the AKA in church.
No, she wasn't doing the nothing. So somewhere along the line, this college, these years or afterwards, you fell in love. Did you get married? What happened once you graduated?
During the college years, I dated, and my friends used to tease me because they'd say, you know what? I don't think you're going to find your husband here. It's because I would date and then it wouldn't work. Then I would date somebody else and then it wouldn't work. And then I wouldn't date. I just focused on my work. So I really didn't. I didn't know that the person I was going to marry was someone that I had known earlier. I didn't really run into him while I was on campus. I actually ran into him after I went to graduate school and came home during the Christmas holidays and went to a party. And there was this guy whom I had met in high school at a band festival. I don't know whether it was in Jacksonville, Florida. It was one of those band festivals that we typically go to every year. But we started talking then as high school students. Then I didn't see him at all for all of my college years, maybe in the distance. But when I went to graduate school and came back, we connected. And not long after that, we got married. Maybe a couple of years after that, we got married.
So you got married a couple of years after college?
I got married about 3 years after I finished graduate school.
Okay. I see. And then how long were you married?
I was married for 10 years.
10 years. I think growing up, I didn't know. I was like, is she married? Is she married? Or
Yes, he belonged to Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, and he, this was when he was very young. We all came to church together.
Oh, okay.
But all of you all were very young then. That's why you don't remember.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we were kids.
Okay. So then you had a daughter named Zakia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. You got that right.
Did you always, I guess, want kids, or was this a surprise?
No, I always wanted to have children. I didn't know how many. I didn't know how many I was going to have. My prayer was just to be blessed to be a mother. And that's the blessing I got.
You didn't want any more?
Well, I think that was a consideration, but things didn't pan out in a way that we thought it would be the right thing to do. So that relationship tapered off, and that was it. I became the mom and the head of the household after that 10-year period.
Okay. Oh, I was gonna ask you, did you want a boy instead of a girl?
Oh, it didn't matter.
You hear that as a kid? She said she wanted a boy. Moving on, you mentioned Wheeler. And
let's get into it.
So when did you start going to Wheeler Avenue?
Well, we moved to Houston rather, I think in 1978. And I probably started going to Wheeler pretty close to that time. I was a member of the church, going and worshiping every Sunday. And I eventually became connected to Olu Chapman, who we remember.
Rest in peace, Olu.
Yes, and my friend. And he talked me into being a superintendent for the Sunday school. So I did that for a few years.
And then how did you get into the whole music scene of Wheeler Avenue?
Well, I never sang in any choirs. I just enjoyed listening. I sang from the seats as a member of the church, not a part of the choir. So I was just walking around the church campus one day, and Clyde Owen Jackson walked up to me and said, he said, "I want you to direct the chapel choir." Well, everybody knew Clyde Owen Jackson. He was an excellent choir director, such a model person, so serious about music. If it was not excellent, he didn't want to have anything to do with it. Very firm in his conviction. So when he walks up to you, and he didn't ask me, he told me I was going to do it. And he tells you you're going to do something, you don't say, "Well, I'll think about it." You say, "Okay," just like I did. I just said, "Okay." And then as I walked away, I was thinking, how did he know that I know anything about music in the first place? How does he know I can do what he's asking me to do? And I never knew how that information came to him. But he said it with confidence. "I want you to direct this choir." And I just took that, went forward with it, and started the work. That's how that whole thing started. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't trying to do it. I didn't apply to be the choir director. I was told to do it. And I just later, in retrospect, I believe that God put it on his heart to tell me to do that.
I didn't know that. So that's how that happened.
Yes.
Do you remember the year range that this happened?
Maybe mid to late 1980 something, 85. Because I'd been there a little while before I got, asked to do this. So it had to have been in the 80s, because I remember that I started with 5 people in that choir. They'd had a youth before.
5 people.
There were 5 people. Something happened, and I guess that was one of those phases where kids graduated and there was no choir. There was no interest in the choir at all. And so I held the first choir rehearsal, and 5 people showed up. I know it was Zakia, Shahara Wright, Andrea Umstead, Bashette Johnson, and it's one other person I can't think of right now. But I committed myself to giving the students that came to me a message that they could take and use in their own lives and spread to other people through music, the word of God through music. So it didn't matter to me that there were 5. I held a concert the very first year with those 5 choir members. I didn't care if we had 2. If we had 2, I would have had a concert of duets, because I was determined it was going to grow from that point to wherever it could grow. And so that's what we did. The parents of those 4 students, supported my efforts. We got them rehearsed, and I taught them the music, and the parents said, let's put them in formal dresses. And so I remember all 5 of them looked so elegant in their little T-length. They were T-length dresses that they were wearing at that time. They came halfway the leg and kind of fanned out a little bit. And they were looking gorgeous and sounding great. And we did that. And so the choir just started to grow from that 5.
Wow. So you started off with a praise team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I say the Willis praise team. That's crazy. I do remember when we were going there, we went one Sunday, and I guess you had started a recruiting process trying to get young people to join the chapel choir. And then I remember you guys were singing and stuff. And then after you guys sung and did the pitch to start requesting, or rather demanding, that young people start coming into the choir for the church. I remember our mama was like, y'all going to sing in the choir. Like, what? So we ended up getting put in the choir under you. And then from there, I guess other kids' parents started doing the same thing.
They sure did. The strategy that I wanted to use was, I wanted you all to have something that you were drawn to. So I wanted the music to be exciting, a good message, but exciting in its delivery. So I just started my research of whatever songs were being sung by the most popular groups each year. Those were the ones that I drew on. I remember one of the first songs that we did in the early stages as the choir was growing was one that was brought to me or recommended by Betty Mooney. She's one of those parents that said, okay, my children are going to be in the choir. And so she said, I heard this song and it's called He Never Sleeps. And I said, bring me the tape. And she brought the tape to me. I listened to it. I wrote it out, decided on the parts, and taught it to the choir. And it's like that was the moment where the parents just kind of started standing with me in everything that I proposed to do with you all. And from that point, we just went from, I think we've gotten to maybe 25 or 30. It just seemed to blossom like by the tens, just overnight, it seems, when you look back. But that parent support that you're talking about, your mom said you're going to be in it, that came from not only parents at Wheeler, but as you all started to go back to school and tell people about the choir, we got kids from all over. Some were coming from other churches to sing in the choir with you guys because they were motivated by the energy and the music, and it was just an amazing thing to see. That's all I can really say about it. It was the work of the hand of God in helping me to deliver to you all the Spirit of God and helping you grow spiritually while you enjoy what you're doing. While you enjoy the friendship and the camaraderie and the activities and all of that. At the same time, you all were, taking in the messages from the songs. And, you all have proven that to me today as I talk to many of you. You say that some of those songs, you still sing them. Or when situations come up, you remember a certain song that we sang. That was part of the mission, and that's what was accomplished.
I also like to shine a light on the opportunity that you gave to a lot of young musicians, such as myself, as a young drummer who had no idea what I was doing. I played drums from elementary to middle school and had just learned how to play a trap set as an amateur. And you gave me an opportunity. I think I was all the age of 14, 13.
Yes.
If that, and gave me an opportunity, made me get on the drums. Like, you gonna get on these drums, and you gonna learn how to play. And I basically had to, learn my way. And I always would say that I appreciate that because it began my musical journey as a drummer, as a musician. And that was the beginning. So I always would pay homage to you and giving me that opportunity as a young musician, playing along with Chad Brawley. Shout out to him. Other drummers, Rashawn, Jason. It was just so many young musicians that were given an opportunity to play along with that. So respect.
Absolutely.
Yep, definitely.
Thank
you.
I had people to ask along the way, why didn't you play for the choir? Because there were so many talented students among us that had the talent to do that. They just needed, just like you were saying, they needed the opportunity. So I wasn't there to showcase my talents. I was there to help you all discover your talents and to develop your talents. That's how I looked at it. And so drummers, bass guitar players, so many came through there. And I said, play, come on. No, you play. You're going to play. And most of them said yes. There were maybe just like one or two that said no, they were not comfortable doing that. I think I'll just say Jason Moran. I remember I asked him to do some of the playing, and he was really focused on doing jazz and probably didn't feel that was his forte, but he very respectfully said, no, Miss Thomas, maybe some other time. But other than that, everybody that I asked to play actually played.
Jason Moran didn't want to do the gospel thing. And what happened to him? What happened to that guy? So he ended up blowing up.
Right.
So you started off with this group of 5, this quintet, and then it grew into this massive unit of singers. It was widely known all over Houston. And I noticed this thing you did that was shocking. You took these kids, us young folks, on tour. What made you was a first. This ain't never happened. It will
ever at Wheeler. No choir has been on tour.
Your choir on tour.
I don't even think since then has a choir ever been on tour at Wheeler.
I don't think so. I'm not sure. Can't guarantee it. But to answer that question, the parents and I got together and started talking about how we could expand this experience for you. I wanted you to go to various churches and venues to sing. And Helen, I'm thinking of trying to remember exactly who it was that I had this conversation with. Perhaps it'll come back to me later, but I had a talk with a group of parents, a small group of parents, and it was suggested, look, when we go on tour, why don't we take them around to the colleges, let them see what some of the possibilities are. These are all middle school and high school students. We're going to be near this college campus. Why not just go to the college campus as a part of the concert experience, as an extension of the concert experience? And so that's what we did. We just thought, what better idea could there be? And so we just start putting the plan together, calling the churches to set up the scheduled time that we were to perform there, and then calling the campuses, college campuses, to coordinate those two events. Mm-hmm. And we just made it happen. It was just a thought that a group of us had, and we just made it happen. And that turned out to be the best thing, one of the best things ever.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely
made
was.
some definite memories for us as young kids, learning valuable lessons on go to sleep when it's time to go to sleep.
Yes.
Wait, you gonna tell this story, Chris?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tell it from, because we were younger than y'all.
Right.
And they're from they 3-4 years older than us, so those were the teens. You know, but I still remember us staying up all night and partying. I think we did was it a party in one of the hotel ballrooms or something that y'all let us have? Mm-hmm. I don't know why they did that. We didn't go to sleep till like 3-4 in the morning, and they had to get up to sing.
Oh yeah,
play,
early morning service,
and everybody was in the choir stand. Miss Thomas
yeah, everybody was tired.
I know. We knew you all were staying up. We knew that.
I remember that. We had to have a meeting after that. Oh yeah. We acted like some teenagers.
Yeah.
It was really Ephraim, Okuri, and all those heathens.
You see what I'm talking about?
Curtis, Frederick, all those guys.
Yeah, he's stirring the pot, pointing the finger.
All those older guys, me, Brandon North. We were kids. We were innocent. We had nothing to do with that kind of stuff.
I don't know what you're saying. I was I think I was in the Bible while everybody else was out partying. I kept to myself. I was
Bible study in his room. Yeah, right.
No, that was great times, and it was fun. The experience, everybody we talked to this day.
We did go to Morehouse and all that stuff. I remember
those trips.
Visiting colleges. Yep. And I always remind that people that we grew up in that environment where shows like A Different World were on TV, and we were almost influenced to go to college. College was cool. It was the cool thing to do. Education was cool. Musicianship, extracurricular activities outside of the streets that kept us in church and in choirs and in school, and the more positive aspects of life that led us to want to go to pursue careers and go to college, so I really appreciate those times in the 90s.
Yep, definitely. All you guys, definitely, I think ushered in a new experience mixed with a little bit of the older experience. And then it formed this whole new, I don't know, hip hop. It kind of contributed to hip hop because even during the hip hop growth of music, it was great to have choirs. Everybody wanted to be in a choir. Right now, nobody wants to be in a choir. But back then, it was like this whole new thing, choirs.
You're absolutely right. It was the time of mass choirs. That's why a lot of the music that I pulled from Mississippi Mass Choir, all those huge choirs with that big sound, and Soul Children of Chicago, but that was the era of the big choirs, and we just soaked all of that up. We just took it for whatever it was worth, and used it to glorify God, but also to bless you all and help you all grow and develop. And you're so right that era is over now. It started after you all graduated and went to college. It started to dwindle a little bit then, but now they're just praise teams mostly.
Yeah, definitely just praise teams. I'm thinking back even more how this hip hop and gospel music it seemed like it came together and kind of amalgamated together to this popular part of church, black church. Because I remember we were allowed to dance in the choir stand. We doing we dancing and stuff in the choir stand.
Oh no, I'm gonna take you one. I'm gonna take you one further. They were allowed to wear hammer pants.
With the choir robe.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was crazy. We were allowed to be teenagers. We were allowed to be teenagers. And I really, that's one thing that you brought to the table. Like, hey, let these kids be kids. We're not gonna limit them. We're still going to allow them to be teenagers. And at that time, MC Hammer was, the thing. Hip hop, was the thing. We were allowed to dress how we wanted to dress. We were allowed to dance in the choir stand. Our robes was fly.
I remember the robe.
So everything was, everything was of that time, and that's it was real dope.
Yeah, because Ms. Thomas, I guess what we always talked about, we wanted to bring you on the show because what you did was very, very impactful. It changed a major part of the church because Willer was traditional. What we were doing, they were looking at us like, "What in the world? Unacceptable! Shut it down! Shut it down!" And we were fighting. It seems like for you were leading the way in this struggle of changing tradition into this new contemporary type of atmosphere.
Yes.
And I think you were a major influence in that change. So I remember that because a lot of people could not stand what we were doing, or rather what you were initiating, kind of breaking barriers and breaking down walls of tradition in the church.
Exactly. But I wasn't bothered about their perceptions. I was just doing what I believed I was called to do. And so I would, get that music, and then I would be at home working out the routines. So I had to pay attention to the things that were going on that teenagers were doing, the moves and I had to know what they were because I was incorporating that in a respectful way as a part of our choreography as we sang those songs. And so, all that leaning to the side and rearing back and, that. And see, what I was trying to do in all of that was to develop a sense of excellence in you guys that, precision, be attentive, pay attention to details. sloppiness is not allowed. Pay attention, focus, have a purpose. All of those things were mixed in to what I was presenting to you. I didn't say it like that. I just had you all do it. And in order for you all to do what I was asking you to do, you had to be precise. You had to pay attention, because I would change the music in the concert. You wouldn't know when I was going to tell your section to come back in and sing a part 2 times or 3. You had to be watching my hands in order to do that. And I did that on purpose. Stay focused on what you're doing. That was the lesson I wanted you to get from that. And so, yeah, it was fun working at home with that choreography, and then getting back with you all and seeing how it looked on you, because I had to stand back and say, let's see now. Did that look good? No, that didn't look good. We're going to do it this way.
Guinea pigs.
Basically.
Yes. You all really, when we did the concert, this was the concert we did when you got the new robes. So the church could see, by that time, the church had been convinced that this group was going somewhere. And so that's how we were able to get them to make the donation for some brand new robes. So by that time, when we had that concert, there were 150 kids, somewhere between 125 and 150 kids in the choir when you all came down there.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And when you all sang the song where you did the white gloves and
near the cross,
bright eyes near the cross, that was a moment to remember, because Wheeler had never seen anything like that before. And I just remember so clearly when I put my hands up and you all did that first move where your hands went up for the cross. I heard gasp in the audience. I heard people go,
remember that.
Because they were just so shocked. And so, yeah, there were, I don't know where these ideas came from, except to say, had to be the Holy Spirit telling me to do it, because it would just be, okay, here's what we're going to do. And the idea would just be there. And I just prepare it and then bring it to you guys, and you all just ate it up. I'm so proud of you. I'm still proud of you today.
I would like to go on record to say that had never been done before.
No, it's not.
That had never been done before.
White gloves, that glow
in the dark.
Lights
We're doing sign language and singing at the same time.
In the church.
In the church. I'm sorry, I gotta say this, E. I gotta say this. I was on the drums.
He was
I think I caught the Holy Ghost that night, because I was so inspired by what was going on, that I remember Rodney was sitting on the side of me and he was like, "You're hitting the drums too hard." I'm like, "Get out of my way." I'm not trying to hear you right now, man. Do you hear this going on right now? That was that was awesome. A memory. That was a real, oh my goodness, it was awesome.
Do we have that?
Who has that? I'm sorry. Yeah, who has that on footage?
I've been trying to find it. Chad may have it. I don't know, but surely somebody. I know people recorded it, so we would just probably have to ask around to see if we could get it. That would be a fun thing to look at again.
Definitely, that would.
Preparing to do it was so much fun, because I do remember in some of the rehearsals that, especially when we had the black light, I had to constantly tell some people to stop grinning. You can't show your teeth while we're doing this. And they were so excited. They were teasing and no, we don't want your teeth to show, just the white gloves. And so we eventually got to the point where you all, the excitement of doing that kind of became a little bit more serious, and you became focused on what we were going to do. But that was fun. Getting ready for it was fun as well.
So you've gotten this choir to this point. You're having concerts, you're going on tours, and then, as you mentioned, I guess the older as older kids, we started graduating, and everybody started kind of getting into adulthood and college and all that such, and military for me.
Mhm.
Did what happened? Did you kind of lose the fire for it, or did the church not push it as much when the numbers went down, or what made the chapel choir start to diminish?
To answer the first part of your question, no, I did not lose the fire for it. I still had the fire for it, and in fact, I had a plan, because there are shifts. You know, there's a time when you have, you know, a full group, and then those kids leave, and like you all did, they gradually move out. And so a great mass of you all, you know, all graduated about the same time, within 1 or 2 years of the other. So my plan was to develop the younger choir, the children's choir, so that as the seniors graduated, we would always be moving another group into the chapel choir to maintain that 100 to 50. And people were so excited about the chapel choir itself that they started trying to convince people to put the little ones in the chapel choir. And what I was hoping they would understand by my explanation is that those young voices were not ready to do what I was asking the middle school and high school students to do. Those are very delicate voices. I was sharing from my experience as a music educator that we need to deal with their voices differently than we do the middle school and high school students. And some people understood that and some did not. And then the whole nature of what teenagers were becoming when you all graduated started to shift right at that moment. Because we did get some more high school students in, but they were so different from you guys. They were not good listeners. They were generally overactive, so to speak. I mean, they were not accustomed to being in an environment where they had to sit and listen and learn for long periods of time. And so we started to have, you know, some discipline problems. Well, I was not going to have the discipline problems. So, you know, I would deal with the discipline problems, you know, by talking to the parents or, you know, letting them know. And I had the support of the church in that they could not come to rehearsal if they were going to misbehave because we have work to do. So, you know, it just became one little thing after another like that. And it sort of got to the point where I knew that this phase of it was done, that my work was done here. And that's when I was called on to go to Brentwood to direct their youth choir. And so I did that work for a couple of years after you all left.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So you left Willer and went to Brentwood to direct that choir there?
For a couple of years, until they decided, you know, they were trying to decide where they wanted their music department to go, because they were, you know, experiencing change as well. So I agreed to come over and work, you know, for a limited period of time with their choir, and they did a great job as well.
After you left Brentwood, what happened from that with the choral positions?
You know, after the 2 years with Brentwood, my attention turned to other things. I started I stopped teaching music, actually, because I was teaching music at Gregory Lincoln. I was the chair of the fine arts department there for a good 10 years or so. And I decided I wanted to focus my attention on math and English, the so-called core subjects. And so I went ahead and got additional certification as a generalist so I could teach middle school students those core subjects. And that's what I did. I went to Burbank Middle School, and I got my certification as a principal and a superintendent because I wanted to do some more leadership work that was not focused entirely on the music and the arts. What I wanted to do was to integrate those, the music part with the academics, to get an even bigger impact out of the work that I was doing.
Were you able to combine the two the way you wanted to?
In a way, yes, because I was instrumental in being able to do some programs that integrated the arts and education, because that's what the theme was at that time, arts integration, using music and the arts to help students be more creative in their thinking, even if it's for doing math or science, or writing for that matter. And so I developed later a desire to create a school that would focus on that, a STEM school with the arts, which I designated to be a STEAM school. And so I worked for a few years, I'm still working in the school district, but in addition to that, I worked on developing a charter school plan. And that's how I wanted to use my principal certification and superintendent certifications in order to lead a school. And so we got that project very far along. I applied. I was accepted to apply for a charter school. We had to have our plans, proposals assessed, and they had to be graded. We got high marks for the type of school it was going to be. And we got all the way up to the top to the commissioner, where he had to make the final decision on the finalists. We were one of the finalists. And because we didn't have a building designated for the school, we missed that opportunity. So at this point, the proposal is still in writing. It can be used at any time to create the school. It's ready to go in that sense, but now it's a matter of who will run it, where will it be, and is this the right time given the season that we are in our society with COVID. And I really think that the usefulness of brick and mortar schools may diminish in years to come. With so many concerns in our society that parents will want to homeschool more and more. And so I've just been thinking of how, I might use this proposal that I wrote several years ago to implement a homeschool program or in some other way use it. So the options are still there for me to look at. And if I am led to do it and I see the opportunity, I will take that up and move forward with it.
Sounds like an amazing plan, actually. Great information. And
we're going to get to our fun part of the interview. Before we close this out, I'm going to give you three names. You got to pick one. And I ain't going to tell you which one. I'm just going to give you three names. You got to pick one. Daryl Coley, Donnie McClurkin, or Fred Hammond. And you got to pick one.
Donnie McClurkin. Donnie McClurkin.
Donnie McClurkin. Interesting. Why you pick Donnie McClurkin? I'm curious.
Well, I think he has an amazing voice. I appreciate and respect his talent. And I do know that he has been through a lot. And so, he seems to be a person who can rise to the occasion when he has to. I don't follow him or keep up with him, but I do know of his talent, his career, and some of the challenges that he has had.
So Donnie stands out amongst the rest. CeCe Winans, Yolanda Adams, or Karen Clark Sheard?
I have to choose one? Oh my goodness. Karen Clark Sheard.
Why?
She has an amazing talent. I think I probably like the way she improvises with her voice. I think that's very impressive to me. It's like she's a designer, a musician who designs things using notes.
I'm going to throw mine in real quick.
What you got?
You can only choose one.
Oh. Okay.
Kirk Franklin, John P. Key, Hezekiah Walker.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah, that's a hard one.
I'm gonna say Kirk Franklin.
Yeah.
Kurt.
I just
Why you got Kurt?
Because Kirk is so energetic. He's so creative, innovative in his way of doing things. He's found a way to keep what he likes to do a part of his ministry, and that's dancing. You can look at him and tell he loves to dance.
Mm-hmm.
But he's done it in a way that's tasteful and that doesn't take away from the message. He's written a lot of some of which we've sung. You all sang when you were in the choir, and I love his arrangements.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Well, Reverend, we appreciate you coming on. It's been an honor, a privilege, a pleasure. I mean, we always want to make sure throughout this process that we have the chance to bring all of the people that have impacted Houston, you know, all these different lives and ideas and creativity. You guys, mainly yourself, you've had this basis to help people. You know, you had a hand in their growth, and we just want to definitely, again, as we say, everybody's been saying it, but we mean it to the core. Give you your flowers.
Yes.
Now,
I said it earlier. A huge impact on my life as a producer, as a musician, as a drummer. If I probably wouldn't have jumped on the drums in church had not Miss Thomas. Hey, I heard you can play the drums. I think I can play. No, you can play. You can play.
You know,
and you know that kind of lit the match and ignited my career as a musician. Even though I was always in school. In bands and stuff like that, playing drums and whatnot. But it definitely inspired me to get into music production, audio engineering, which I had a long career in. And I always can think back and look back and say that Miss Thomas definitely had an impact on the choices I definitely made as an adult or as a young adult, and the music choices that I made. So flowers to you. You made a huge impact on my life, my brothers, and hundreds of other young adults during those times. And I'm pretty sure when other people watch this podcast, they can relate, and you're gonna get more love based on what you've done for us as young adults during those times. So I really appreciate you and love you for it.
Thank you so much. You all speak of what I gave to you, but you all gave to me as well. And I'm like I said, I'm proud of you. I love you. I loved you then. I love you now, and I'll always love you. And I'm just so excited to see how you've become such great young men and how you're doing so well. Parents, just you're just a joy. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to chat with you and to revisit and have this little reunion.
As you can see, I was raised in the streets.